My name is Lydia Smith. I'm going to tell you about a bit about what we're going to do today, and also a bit about the project that I'm leading, which is called the Centre for High Carbon Capture Cropping. So I'm really going to dash through this. So this is one of the Farming Innovation Pathway projects that was funded out of DEFRA and in collaboration with Innovate UK, and quite a big one. You're going to hear about this and others in that from that same stable, if you like. What we're looking to do in our project is to focus on greenhouse gas emissions. So that's kind of the underlying work that we're doing, but we're doing that in ways where we engage with different cropping, and we also have a very close focus on making that a valuable and important, useful thing to do from the point of view of the businesses involved, i.e. the farmers and industries using those products. So this is probably the first event that we've had where we're looking more at the products and less at the cropping side of things. We're going to look at, in particular in my project, perennial forage cropping, fibre cropping, cover crop and energy cropping, but we're also looking at tillage across that full group. And we're looking at how to capture carbon, as I say, along the way, but with profitable outcomes. So this is, oh goodness gracious, sorry, that hasn't quite rendered right, but it's a sort of a rendition of what we're doing over the 4 years of the project. We have a knowledge hub, and you could say this is one of the early manifestations of that knowledge hub, to engage with you, find out what you think, and whether we're going in the right direction or not. We are looking at, as I said, those 4 crops, but we're also looking at, within those crops, crop improvement, analysis of the soil carbon. So we're almost treating the soil carbon as a product and measuring it. Whether those data go towards looking at actual sources of income from the carbon or not, we don't know, but we're certainly going to put the data together in order to facilitate that. And that really is dependent on some of the decisions that are still being made by government. So, as I say, it's part of the Farming Futures R&D Fund, Climate Smart Farming. Here's a quick look at the crops. Obviously, cover crops is not a crop as we know it. We won't talk about that too much today, but there's a webinar coming up. What is the date of that webinar, Stuart? 22nd of November at 4 o'clock. So you can hear a lot more fine detail about the cover cropping in that. And there's another one in December looking at perennial food and feed crops. We're going to concentrate quite a bit on the biomass and the fibre crops today, because there's lots of interesting products coming out of them. And then the outcomes and the objectives that we're going to follow, as I say, is to get that knowledge out there, find out what you're all thinking. So really interested in the thoughts of industry and farmers and other stakeholders, putting a platform together to track the soil and to track other outcomes, and of course to build value chains. And that's very much what we're looking at today. I'm going to skip through that. Here's a very quick look at one of those crops. I couldn't resist putting this in. This came from colleagues in the project. Thanks to Jamie Bartley for supplying this, who's somewhere in the audience. There he is. And hemp is a fascinating, novel, old crop. So it's been around for absolutely ages, dropped out of our farming. But we really think it's got an absolutely fascinating, exciting new place in this area. So I'm not going to talk about results particularly myself, but we've been doing lots of work in the field. And I personally, along with some of my brilliant colleagues here, have been on our hands and knees digging up things like hemp roots, which is really difficult, looking at what that does in the soil, measuring them, and doing the same for all of the other crops. But more about that in the future. And here's some lovely pictures of what we've been up to, including, I love this picture. This is Jasmine, my brilliant colleague at Niab. And we managed to snap the spade in half as we were trying to collect some of these deep soil analyses. Lots of information out there for you to find out what's going on. We've published our first insights newsletter, and the next one, it feels like as if, phew, we did that, but the next one will be tight on our heels. So look out for that. If you sign up for the information and the newsletter, you can do that on our webpage. So if you go to the link that I've printed there, www.carboncapturecropping.com, you will find the link and you can sign up, and then you can become part of the party. So thank you for listening. Before I hand over to our first, I'm going to say serious speaker, just to remind you, it's the products we're looking at. And here are two pieces of hemp. And the thing about these crops is that quite often the processing, the pre-processing, what goes on the farm after you've grown it is the really tricky bit. And this is going to be the subject of quite a lot of the discussion today. So I cut these off the field, but I didn't just cut these off the field. This one was how it was cut. This one was after it was retted, which is basically, I guess, an old English term for rotted, which is what has to happen before you can even consider doing anything with these products. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to Stuart for the next session.
Thank you very much, Lydia. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to Niab. My name is Stuart Knight. I'm the Deputy Director here at Niab, but also I am the Knowledge Hub Leader for CHCX3, which is why I'm really here today. So we have a great lineup of speakers for you today, which we will get going with very shortly. But before we do, I'm just going to ask Belinda Clarke from Agri-TechE very briefly to explain a little bit about Agri-TechE and the Agri-TechE Week.
Thank you, Stuart. Well, good morning, everyone. I won't take up too much of your time, but just to really say thank you so much, Niab. This is the 10th Agri-TechE Week, and this was a programme that we at Agri-TechE put together to really try and showcase and celebrate the excellence in agricultural technologies and knowledge advancement. Mainly our roots, pun intended, are in the east of England, but at Agri-TechE we have members across the UK and internationally. But Agri-TechE Week has been this programme that's sort of one of our flagship activities. We had our REAP conference on Wednesday. There've been a series of events all week. The write-ups of all of them are on the website, and the write-up of today should be on the website by tonight. So after today, I will be rushing home to write it up with some pictures. So just a reminder, hashtag ATW_23. And if you'd like to tag Niab and also Agri-TechE, that would be great. But Agri-TechE Week number 10 is in its final crescendo, thanks to Niab and Lydia particularly. We don't underestimate the work and the contribution that you've made to Agri-TechE Week over the years. So thank you so much. And what a great event to end on. This is, when we look back over the last 10 years and the kinds of conversations that we've been having, I don't think in Agri-TechE Week 2014 we would have for 1 minute been envisaging that we would be having these kinds of conversations, but how brilliant that we are now, and that this project has really spearheaded some very challenging and exciting new thinking. So welcome to the final event of Agri-TechE Week. Thank you to Niab. I'll be dashing around taking photos and tweeting and looking forward to the rest of the day. So thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Belinda.